I was your typical college kid. I had self-confidence issues, I was broke, and I felt like I had no real direction. I felt like I was only going to college to satisfy other people. I really had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was in a dark place. I remember the night that broke me. It made me really realize that I needed to change something in my life. I remember sitting in my college dorm that was trashed because of my nightmare of a roommate. And I was hungry, so I grabbed a cup of ramen that I had. I was so tired of eating ramen, but that was all I could afford. So I ate ramen over and over and over. But this one night, I vividly remember the feeling of being a failure just overcoming me. I remember crying into the cup of ramen and still eating it because I was so hungry and that was all I had to eat. I was absolutely broken. Now, fast forward 2 years, and here I am on the big screen representing my country in Paris. This isn't some story of how an overachiever easily got what they wanted with no issues. This is an example of how a disabled guy with no money and mental health issues did something great, and how you can too. I'm Trey. I'm 21, and I had the pleasure of representing Team USA in the 2024 Paris Paralympics. For those of you confused by the title and what I just said, yes, I competed in the Paralympics in a sport called goalball. It's literally the coolest sport that you've never heard of, and it changed my life. I have a full video explaining what the sport is on my Instagram, link in the description below. Now that that's out of the way, rather than give you guys a step-by-step process on how I went from a nobody to someone who's literally getting invited to the White House to meet the president, I thought I'd give you guys the keys to success. My story is great and all, but that doesn't help you. Me sitting here and talking for 15 minutes about my journey may motivate and even inspire you, but that's not the goal here. This video is for the person who feels the same way that I did. This video is meant to give you the blueprint to whatever you want to accomplish. So without further ado, here's how I became an Olympian, and here are the 5 things you can do to accomplish your goals. Number 1 may seem obvious, but it's hard for a lot of people. Set a goal. The night that I cried in my ramen noodles and still ate it was actually the day that changed my life because I decided to set a goal. My goal was broad. I want to be somebody that I can be proud of. That eventually turned into sports and then representing my country. So as time went on, my goal became more specific. Make it to the Paralympics. I say that to say this, the more specific your goal is, the better. If you're unhappy right now, maybe your goal should be, I want to be happy. Maybe you want more money. Maybe you're like me and you want it to be an elite athlete. Whatever it is, set a goal because once you set the goal, you found a purpose. Millions of people wake up every day and just go through the motions and let time pass them by because they don't have a goal. Don't be one of those people. Take every second of your life and go get what you deserve. The reason goals are so important is because it helps you figure out how to take actionable steps to achieve what you really want. But more importantly, it reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing in hard moments. If I were to ask you right now if you could make $1 million a year, you'd probably say no, right? But what if I were to ask you this? Hey, your mom's life is on the line. Could you come up with $1 million by the end of the year? What would you say? A lot of people would say yes. But why? It's the same amount of money that I'm asking for, and it's the same time period that you have to get it. So what changed? The thing that changed is the reason you're doing it for. The why. That's what changed. That's why a goal is so important. It helps you figure out what you need to do and why you're doing it in the first place. If your goal is to gain a bunch of muscle, you know you need to work out, but sometimes going to the gym sucks. Sometimes you'll ask yourself, why am I doing this? Maybe in that example you remember at that time, well, I'm in the gym because I want more muscles, and I want more muscles to protect my brother from bullies. You know what? Add more weight. We need to get bigger now. Set a goal. You'll thank yourself later. Number 2 is cliche, but I can't stress the importance enough. Consistency. Once you've set a goal for yourself and you found actionable steps to achieve whatever you want, you have to be consistent. Goals are merely daydreams without action. What's the difference between a really fit person and an obese person with a gym membership? The obese person may have changed their eating habits temporarily. They may have even bought a gym membership, but one day they stopped showing up for themselves. Maybe they lack discipline, or maybe they didn't set a goal. Maybe their why wasn't strong enough. But at the end of the day, the really fit person achieved their fitness goals because they stayed consistent, turning their goals into reality, while the obese person sees being fit as just a dream. My point is, the only thing that separates you from your goals is you. Be consistent and show up for yourself. Your goal is achievable. You can do whatever it is you put your mind to, but you have to show up. No one else is going to wave their magic wand and make your dreams a reality. So set a goal and work hard. I was selected to go to Paris over people who played the sport way longer than me, and people who were older and way more experienced. Why? Because I was able to remember my why every day, and I showed up for myself and stayed consistent and outworked everybody. You will be so proud of yourself if you stop putting things off and work hard for what you want to achieve. And a bonus thing is that people will notice. Here's a little story. I didn't see eye to eye with my team captain at all. We clashed heads a lot and just didn't get along. He's way older than me, so it was really hard to mesh with him. But leading up to Paris, more often than not, me and him were the only 2 people showing up every single night to get in extra work. There was no, I can't, I'm tired, or I'm busy. We both had a goal to get better, and we showed up every night for ourselves and for each other. Over time, we grew a great connection based off of mutual respect, because humans realize we don't like being consistent. We don't like sticking to things. So when someone else sees you being consistent, they're going to realize that and appreciate it. So do yourself the biggest favor and stay consistent. You and others will notice. Number 3 is criminally underrated, but compare yourself to others. This may sound counterproductive at first because comparison has a bad connotation. But hear me out, comparison can be positive. In my sport, some players can throw the ball super fast, and I mean super fast. This motivated me to throw harder. I would constantly compare myself to other players and other teams. Not looking at them in a negative way, but if this guy can throw a big ball at 45 miles per hour, then why can't I? I have players around my same age who are good buddies of mine, and I would see things that they could do that I wasn't that great at. So there I was in the gym at night, putting in extra hours when no one was watching, trying to figure out how I could catch up. It made me such a better player. Instead of thinking negatively like, wow, this guy is so much younger than me and makes way more money than me, I suck. Think, wow, this young guy is making so much, that's incredible. And if he can do it, why can't I? Keep in mind, this can turn negative easily, so it takes a certain kind of mindset to keep this in a positive light. But instead of putting yourself down through comparison, let it show you what's possible and strive to achieve it. It'll reframe the way you see things and it'll turn negative things into positives. Number 4 is short and sweet. Replace expectations with gratitude. Oftentimes when you set a goal and you work super hard to achieve it, you'll see results. Maybe not as fast as you'd like, or you might have a drawback. But when you're grateful and show gratitude for what you've accomplished so far, you'll go a lot further. It's also really good for your mental health. Don't approach things with a sense of entitlement. This world owes you nothing but death. That's what makes it so beautiful when you accomplish things, because you're not promised anything, but you work so hard and stayed the course that you accomplish something. If you set a goal to do 1,000 push-ups and you work super hard at it, and at the end of your training, you can only do 999. Be grateful you push your body to that limit. Most people can't even do 10 push-ups. There's the comparisons. I made it to the Paralympics. I represented my country. I made it to the quarterfinals and got eliminated and ended up taking 6th place. This was a super tough loss, but what helped is that I was super grateful for even being there and getting there at such a young age. Nobody can tell me anything or make fun of me. Oh, you got eliminated in the quarterfinals. Odds are you haven't been in that situation and you haven't represented your country. And that's not from a place of ego either. It's me being grateful for how far I've come. If you would have told the guy that was crying into his noodles and eating it that he'd be representing his country, he'd look at you like you're crazy. So when I think about how far I've come, truly grateful for it, you can't put me down or make me feel bad for not doing as good as I wanted to, because I didn't have expectations. I had gratitude. Be grateful. Replace expectations with gratitude. Number 5 is by far the hardest one and the one that I catch myself messing up on. But stop making excuses. Take accountability. More times than not, if something doesn't go your way, it's your fault. The second you point your finger and blame someone else for your shortcomings, you're saying to yourself subconsciously that that person has power over you accomplishing your goals or not. Something bad happened to you? In the simplest way possible, I can say this. Nobody cares. You still have to show up for yourself. I've had full-fledged panic attacks. They affect me to the point where I can't feel my body for like a week. I still was expected to play a full tournament in these conditions because I had to show up for my team. So here I was playing a sport that heavily relies on what you feel. Meanwhile, I couldn't feel anything. I had to do this twice, and in both tournaments, I still performed. I say this to say sometimes things are tough, sometimes things suck, but you still have to show up and go for your goals because no one else will do it for you. Stop making excuses. What really showed me how little excuses matter was actually my strength and conditioning coach. I just fractured my leg in 2 places from overtraining before Paris. I go to the doctor in extreme pain, they tell me, yeah, you fractured your leg. The next day, I don't go to practice. I literally just fractured my leg. I get a call from my strength and conditioning coach. He's like, where are you? He chewed me out. I said, but my leg, he said. I don't want to hear that. You still have to show up. And after that, I practiced every single time with a fractured leg. And I'm glad I did it, because if I didn't, I probably wouldn't have ended up going to Paris. 6 months prior to this, I actually didn't show up to a workout. And the same coach called me because I didn't show up to a workout. I wasn't feeling well. I think I was too tired because I stayed up late the night before. He cussed me out because I always said I wanted to be the best. He said, how can I say that if I'm making excuses? There's a little bonus story, and I promise you I didn't miss a workout after that. Shouts out to EJ. Long story long, stop making excuses. They're only hurting you and making your goals turn into dreams. Bonus tip, faith. I strongly believe in God, and I know that if I follow his commandments, then things will go well with me. So for those of you who believe in something higher than yourselves, don't just aim to accomplish great things, but try to be a great person in the eyes of the one who created you. Also, for those of you curious, I'm a Paralympian. I say Olympian because to me they're interchangeable, and Olympian is more widely recognized, so to get this channel more reach, I'll use the term Olympian, and then I'll educate people on what a Paralympian is. My goal is to spread awareness for Paralympians and the Paralympics in general, especially the sport I play, goalball. But that's the story of how I became a Paralympian, an Olympian, whatever. Thank you so much for watching.